All right, American History 2 folks. This is to introduce you to, if you've not already done one, for the primary document reviews. I feel like primary documents are an essential part of history. They give you a little slice of understanding, a little piece of understanding, a frame of reference for what's going on in the time period, both with the people, with the culture, with whatever the happenings are. And so there's going to be a primary document with each and every unit that you do. And the first one that you're going to do is going to be actually the last one they do for American History 1. It's the first one you do, which is the Emancipation Proclamation. And that's going to come straight from the desk of Abraham Lincoln. Now, here's what I want you to do anytime we're working on a primary document review. The standard format is a 5-paragraph essay. Why? Because we write an awful lot of English and literature papers, and we do a 5-paragraph essay, so that's relatively easy to work with. It gives you the introduction, and the last part of that introductory paragraph is going to be a thesis statement. Whatever your major idea, whatever your major argument is, that's your thesis statement. It gives you 3 paragraphs to go ahead and build up the argument. So if you've got a 3-part thesis statement, you've got a body paragraph for each one. And then it gives you the opportunity in that 5th paragraph to go ahead and conclude, to wrap up your ideas. I think it's a pretty simple format, so I'm going to want you to go ahead and utilize that format as you go through. And here's what I want you to do. Hopefully you'll have done some of the readings for the chapter, so you have an idea of what you're talking about. You're having a frame of reference. You're a little bit plugged into what's happening at that particular point. And then I want you to log into Moodle, and I want you to look at the primary document. And I want you to go ahead, not only look at the document, but go ahead and look at what I've given you in the way of a prompt, because I want you to read the document with that as a frame of reference. That's really important. And then what I want you to do is go in and be a historian, be a detective, be a teacher, if you will. Because I want you to do, first thing is, I want you to treat everything with a grain of doubt, a grain of salt. Realize that every piece of written history, every document, every story, the author has an intent. There's some intention. In this case, Abraham Lincoln is the author. I'm going to ask you, hey, who's the author of this document? I just told you Abraham Lincoln. The next thing is to consider, is their audience. Who is the author talking to? Who is he writing for? Who is he speaking to? In this case, I'm going to want you to say, okay, who is Lincoln talking to? Well, we know that he's issuing this edict. He's issuing this proclamation to the South. But also, in addition to the South, he knows that the North is going to read it. He knows that the soldiers are going to read it. He knows that the slaves are going to have it, in some cases, read to them, in some cases, learn to read it. So he has a wide audience. And then I want you to think and go, okay, wait. Okay, here's who wrote it. Here's who he wrote it to. Why? And that's what I always want you to ask. Why did they write this? Anytime someone has told you something, anytime you've watched an ad, they've been trying to sell you something, an idea. There's always an agenda. If you want to label it as propaganda, great, label it as propaganda. It doesn't matter. But there is an agenda. So I want to know what Lincoln's agenda was. What was he doing? Why did he do this? And then what did he do? All right, what did he do? In some cases, people say, well, look, with the wave, with the stroke of one pen, he went ahead and freed all the slaves. If you read the document, you went, oh, yeah, he freed all the slaves. Well, then I suggest you read it again, because no, he didn't free all the slaves. Okay? He actually didn't free any slaves. Some people want to argue, well, look, he can't do this. He's the president, but he's got no right to do this. I think he does have a right. I think he's got an argument. What you have to know, and this is what I want you to do anytime you start, I want you to be a scholar. All right? So if you know nothing about Lincoln besides who he was, well, then I would jump on and talk to Uncle Google there and find out what he has to say, what she has to say, what they have to say about Abraham Lincoln. Do a little bit of research, okay? You'll find out that he's a good old country boy. You'll find out that he's a backwoods lawyer, that he's actually a good man. All right, he's actually an honest man. And before he gets elected president, when he's running for president, he says, you know, slavery is wrong. But also when he's running for president, he says, you know what? It might be wrong, but I don't think I have the authority as president to go ahead and handle this problem. It's a constitutional issue. And so what I want you to do is I want you to be that research author. If you feel comfortable based on what you know writing about it with no additional backup, well, then write away. If you feel like you need some additional scholarly support, if you feel like you need experts on your side, if you feel like you need to call a friend. And so what I want you to do is I want you to do that. But if you're going to bring in outside information that's not in the document, that's not in, you know, what I gave you, well, then I'm going to want you to cite your sources. And if you're going to cite your sources, you need to include just a quick works cited page. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but I want to know where your information comes from. What I want you to do is I want you to have an idea, I want you to have an opinion, I want you to have an argument, and I want you to be able to back it up. Very often that includes citing elements of the document. This is what I believe and why. Okay? If you want to argue, that's great. Have a qualified argument. Okay? Have a qualified argument. And so go through and cite some portions of that. Show me that you've read the document. Show me that you understand the document. Show me that, listen, here's the basis for what I said. I'm not just spouting off stuff, but here's the basis for what I said. Now, I've done the research for you. If you look at the link to the document, if you look below the assignment, you'll find a link to the National Archives. And the National Archives has got a lot of stuff in there about this document, about his premise, about why he wrote it. One of the things that's important is, as a president, can he free the slaves? No. But he's not just president, he's also commander-in-chief. And so as commander-in-chief, he's got military authority during a time of war. And guess what? This is a time of war, so he's going to make his basis, his decision, not just on president, but on the idea that he's also commander-in-chief. So he's going to make this a military tactical necessity. And so it gives a different parameter. Because one of the other things I'm going to ask you is, look, this person made this decision. Did they have the right? Did they have the authority to go ahead and make this decision? And I'm going to ask you whether or not you think he made the right decision. Did he go about it the right way? Is there a different way to go about it? So what I want you to do is go ahead and do some research, go ahead and do some reading, and then once you've actually got this written up, submit it via Moodle, either as a Word document or a PDF. And then what I'll do is between now and, because I'll look at it next Monday evening, Tuesday morning, and I'll give you a little bit of feedback. But what I'm looking for is to be able to tell that you've read the document, that you've got an opinion, and that you have a qualified opinion. I want you to be the historian, but I want you to do a little bit of research. All right, don't stress too much, and then I will get back to you a little bit later on with some more information on the chapter and just in general background. Thanks.